This clip will cover creating a BHA within Innova Engineering. So first thing I will always do is create a project name, in this case BHA example, and a description. So, example 1. Next I will go to units and select my individual units for my project file. So in this case I'm going to select API units first, which will set all of my units to standard API and then tweak them. So in this case, mud ppg, length I'm going to put in US feet, flow GPM, pressure PSI, weight 1000 pounds, torque 1000 foot-pounds, volume barrels, diameter inches, temperature Fahrenheit. Magnetics and accelerometers I don't need to worry about because they're for survey correction, and jet size in 30 seconds of an inch. Okay, once I've got my project name and unit set, I'm going to save my file. So I'm going to go save as to my desktop, and I'm going to save it as BHA example. Okay, now I have to start building my BHA itself. So what you do first of all is you will, in a standard BHA, build from the bit up. In the circumstance where there is no bit in your BHA, like an open-ended drill pipe, that doesn't matter. But if your BHA has a bit, it has to be the first item. So I'm going to select bit as the component, and at this point you can either manually input all the data in the clear white cells, or you can right-click on the component and go select from library. This will bring up the component catalog, and you can filter based upon the component, the OD, so in this case I'm going to pick an 8.5 inch bit, and I'll take an 8.5 inch PDC. Insert into drill string, and that pulls the bit with all its details and into the component details. So in this case I've input one component. Looking at the component details, one very important thing I haven't filled in, that isn't dragged in, is the TFA. So if I click on the TFA, there is a button which opens up the Enter Jet Details dialog. This dialog you can either put in the size of the jets and the quantity, or you can input as a fixed TFA. I'm just going to put in 0.95 for the purposes of this exercise, and I save. Once you've input that item, continue to build your BHA. Select Insert After, creates a new row to add your next component. So in this case, I'll add a motor. Select from library, and a 6 3/4 inch motor. .785 stage, insert. Okay, and again, you can see here that the component details have been filled in with the generic data. This currently is assumed as a slick sleeve, but if you have stabilizer dimensions on the motor, then you would input them here. So in this case, it will be a full gauge stab sleeve, blade length of say 6 inches, 10 inches, stab distance from bottom 2.5 feet, pressure drop 400 psi, blade width, number of blades, bend angle 0.78, bit to bend 6 foot. Okay, and if there's a differential pressure as well on top of your pressure drop, further 400 psi. Okay, so you can see how you would build up a BHA incrementally by adding these individual components. To reduce the length of this video, I'm going to now import a BHA as opposed to build it manually. So what I would do is I have a pre-existing export BHA, and if I wanted to export what I've created, I would go to export BHA. In this case I'm going to import, and I've got a pre-existing BHA file here. Click open. Okay, so this is pulled in a BHA that I've made previously, with all of the items individually filled up and the component details completed. I'm going to save that. The only other thing I need for an accurate BHA and to create a BHA report on this tab is the mud weight. And what that affects is the weights, the Boyd weight to be precise. So in this case, I'm going to make my last component number 10. So that's the heavyweight draw pipe for my BHA. And I'm going to make the mud weight 12 ppg. And you can see there that from having nothing to 12 ppg, it changes the Boyd weight. Now that we have a BHA in place, what we could do is we could either carry on building the ING file so that we can utilize it in our calculations, or in this example what we're going to do is we're going to create a BHA report. So we've input everything we need to for a BHA report to a certain extent. Next we go File and Print Reports, and within here we can select with this button, select Primary Logo, the logo that we want to appear on any of our reports. In order for them to be selectable, they have to be in a .bmp format. Once I've selected that, I'll then go File, Print BHA. This opens the Print BHA dialog, and here we'd input the operator, the well, field, rig, BHA number, bit number, and the depth in, depth out. So let's say 1,000 feet and out at 9,000 feet. Date in, date out, number of drilling hours, the grading in and grading out, and any offset data that you might have, as well as the color that you want various borders to be within the report. You then have the option of printing inverted or standard, standard having the bit at the top end of the report and printed inverted having the bit at the bottom end of the report. I'm going to hit print, and this creates an Excel format BHA, which I'll drag over from the other monitor. So this is the BHA report created by default. Once created, you can obviously save it and then forward it on. The other function that we've got is export BHA. So we imported a BHA file earlier. Now I'm going to export this BHA as it is. And this allows you to pull in very quickly pre-existing BHA from another file at the click of a button. So you don't have to manually create all the components every single time. Okay, so that's a very quick overview of building a BHA, the items that you need to input, and creating a BHA report, as well as importing and exporting BHA files.